Welcome everyone, it is Joy Taylor with JEDI and we're happy to have you here today for one of our wonderful webinar spotlights, and we are learning today about California seller's permits and resale certificates. So this is a fabulous event. We have the Board of Equalization as our partners, coming forth to give you information as small business owners to support you in knowing, if you need a seller's permit, how to get one, how do you file taxes. So many of these questions will be answered today with our presenters. But before we get into the information, I do want to just get you comfortable with this webinar platform. If it's the first time you've been on a webinar, you'll see you have what's called a control panel. And you can minimize that panel so it's not in your way by clicking the little red arrow. And it'll disappear, but it will also come back later if you'd like it. Now, what can you do at the control panel? You can ask questions. So there's a little question box. If you click on that box, just type in a question, and I will be able to ask those questions of our presenters throughout the webinar, but especially at the end of the webinar. So there's no audio today, but yes, we want to make sure that if you have questions, they are answered, and it's in that little box that you can type in your questions. So most importantly, just enjoy this webinar, apply it to your business, take notes, be an active listener. The webinar will be roughly 40-45 minutes with Q&A, so we're going to get a lot of information. And as I stated, the webinar is brought to you by Jefferson Economic Development Center, the Women's Business Center, and Small Business Development Council. We are an organization where potential becomes prosperity, and let me tell you, it does every day, and it does because we have the great honor of working with small business owners like you. And many of you walk into the doors with ideas and possibility, and you make that happen. You turn that into money, into income, into services for our community, and we thank you for that. At JEDI, at the SBDC SBA Women's Business Center, we offer a lot. Training, classes, workshops, private business and financial consultations. We do tax preparation. We have a matched savings program. We help you with business planning, loan application, and we do have advanced business development services for you. So stop in or visit ejedi.org. Give us a call. We'd love to help you even more in growing your business. Okay, so our presenters, we have today Jim Dahl, who is the Regional Liaison Manager with the Board of Equalization for California State, and Wes Rieger, Business Tax Representative. You both have smiles on your faces, and I know you're going to be smiling your way through this webinar. I got a quick preview of what you have to present, and I just want to thank you for taking time out to help us understand online, how to get our permits, if we need them, and how to stay current with our taxes with California. So welcome to the call, and thank you to both of you.
Well, thank you, Joy. This is Jim Dahl, and it is a delight to be here, and I'm delighted to be here with Wes. Wes is a great young man, and he will be a valuable resource to us, and whatever we can't answer, we will definitely get the answers for you. This presentation, we are with the State Board of Equalization, and so I'd like to kind of give you a little thing about the BOE, Board of Equalization, and what it is, because a lot of people are a little curious as to what is the Board of Equalization. Well, kind of interestingly, we are the only elected tax board in the United States. All the other states appoint their tax board members, their commissions, whatever they call it, and we are the only elected tax board. So you have a tax board member elected from this district, and we'll share that in just a moment. There's 4 members, there's 4 districts throughout the state, plus the state controller make up the State Board of Equalization. So there's 5 members to the State Board of Equalization. The State Board of Equalization, the BOE, is responsible for collecting sales tax, use tax, any special tax collections, and administrating that collection. Last year we collected just about $58 billion in taxes throughout our state. So that's responsibility of the BOE. BOE is also responsible for regulatory fulfillment. In other words, if the legislature passes a law, passes something that involves taxes or changes, adding taxes, the board is responsible for making that happen. And so the last thing is the state board is tasked with adjudicating for not only the BOE but also for the franchise tax board any tax disputes. So if you have a tax dispute and it goes all the way to the top level, it would go before the State Board of Equalization. Well, who is our board member? Our board member is George Runner. George is in his 2nd term, and actually we are now District 1. It says District 2 on your screen, but they changed the district numbering this last year, and so we are now District 1. We have several offices throughout our district, because our district begins at northern LA County and goes all the way up to the Oregon border. And so we're 33 of the 58 counties, because each district is how they determine the size of the district is by number, not by size. So there's about 9 million people in each district. As you can imagine, LA is basically one district by itself. And so our district, in order to put together 9 million people, they had to start at the northern LA County area, go all the way up the valley, kind of up the I-5 corridor, all the way to the Oregon border. And so that's our district, District 1. And the closest office for many of us, in fact, Wes and I work out of the Churn Creek office here in Redding. And so there's the information in terms of phoning, and we'll kind of repeat some of the information at the end also, so you can contact us. Well, today we want to cover these things in our time together. What is a California seller's permit and who needs one? How to secure a business seller's permit. We're going to go right online and show you how to do that. What is a resale certificate and who needs one? How does a business apply for or secure a resale certificate? And then we're going to talk a little bit about going online and filing, and what is how you file for your taxes and how we collect those. So get ready. You can write down, maybe have a piece of paper and pencil and write down any questions, because our desire is to really be helpful and to scratch you where you're itching. And so if we don't scratch your need, then write it down and then type that in at the end or during the time, and Joy will communicate that to us, and we're just delighted to be here. And Joy, we want to thank JEDI and all the great work you all do to help businesses, because our great desire as a board is we want businesses to succeed. George Runner, our board member, is very pro-business and proactive in helping businesses, and as a regional liaison manager, my responsibility is to go out and help businesses where they're having contention or problems, and we try to help resolve some of those. So taxes are never any fun, and the business owners are tax collectors in essence, because you're collecting that sales tax money and then sending that into us either monthly or quarterly or yearly, depending on what your sales are. So we're just delighted, and I want to thank you for being a business out there in California, because without businesses we don't succeed as a community. So thank you very much. We want to begin with who must obtain a seller's permit. If you're engaged in a business in California, or if you intend to sell or lease tangible personal property, and that's how they determine, what is, what is taxable. It's what's a tangible personal property that you'd ordinarily be subject to sales tax if sold or at retail. And this also includes wholesalers, manufacturers, retailers. And it also not only is if you're in a constant business, but you also can get a temporary permit. And many times these temporary permits are for those who are either doing like a fireworks booth or a Christmas tree lot or a garage sale. If you're you actually need to have a garage sale permit if you do. Wes, is it 3?
2 and you don't, 3 and you do.
Yeah, if you have 3 garage sales in a year, technically you should have a permit for that. And so that's many folks don't realize that. Okay, getting the permit and getting a permit for the sales is real easy. In fact, when I first started just 3-4 years ago, I was a tax tech and I received the permits in the mail, and then I'd have to put those into the computer, and then we would mail those to the business owner, and sometimes it could take a week, 2 weeks by the time you mail it. We are able to process it, mail it back. Now it can all be done in one stop, in one time at the computer, and it can take anywhere from a half hour to probably about a half hour to complete the whole thing. And we're going to walk through some of that in just a few minutes. So you complete the application, and you can print the application right there on your location. So it's really an easy process, and although you need to be prepared and in order to get the right information. So having your social security number is very important. Your driver's license or ID, bank account information, name and address of suppliers, bookkeeper, accountant, email address. And now you need to think, what is going to be our projected monthly and taxable sales? Because that is going to determine how often you actually have to file. And so there's different ways, and the more you make, the more income that you'll have, the more sales, then more often you'll have to give that filing, and so it's really important to kind of project, and it's just a projection, and that's a guesstimate at what you think you're going to be selling. Then if you have a federal employer identification number, if you have partners and corporation limited, all that information is very important to have ready, so when you do go online, you can fill out your permit information. Why should I e-reg? One form starts the process. You can review your process online. You can go on, you go online and get information you need. There's helplines, and e-reg has been a very, very good positive addition to the State Board of Equalization e-filing. You can also you can e-reg, and then you can e-file. So you can go right online and file your taxes, which again, we're going to go through that process in just a short time. Okay, so let's begin. You can register online, or you can come in person, and you can come to our office here in Reading and get your permit. If you're in the area, that is a very helpful thing. So we're going to take you right over to the State Board of Equalization website, and you can put this in on your favorites. If you're a business, it's a real important thing. This is our website. We're on the home page. Here's a filing return. We'll talk about that more later. Taxes and fees. There's all the different taxes, and you find out because there's special taxes that you need to be aware of. Forms and pubs. We'll be looking at a form here in just a little bit for a resale certificate. And then online services, news, and for our purpose right now, we're going to click on the permits and licensing, and here's all the different things about how do I register and all that, and questions that you might have about renewing. But we're going to go right here to register online, and so this begins your process, and we're going to click on register a business. So you have a business. You want to get your seller's permit. Now, there's a lot of questions here. I'm going to have Wes address why we ask so many different questions.
Now, the reason there's so many questions at the beginning about specific whether or not you're involved in a business activity is because your return that you're going to file is actually specific to that type of business. So obviously, if you're, a thrift store, you don't need to fill out the lumber tax form every time you file, but there's going to be a bunch of questions at the beginning that let us know which kind of form you should have. So that's the reason there's all these questions, including the next page of questions.
Okay, and so for most businesses, 99% of you are going to click the first one, selling items or goods in California. That's going to be most likely the place that you're going to click. Then we're going to the next page, and this one has to do with, and Wes, what are some of these items, and why do they ask these questions?
Well, I mean, if there's cigarette taxes, there's, the tire fees, there's different fees associated with different businesses, so it's just, again, keeping track of which form and schedules are attached to your form that you should have and you should be aware of. So it gets you the right information by clicking the right boxes.
And again, most of us are not going to be, a lot of these things will not be part of our business. So most of us will not even click anything here. We'll just go to the next page. Okay, and so what we're looking for is the seller's permit, and so we're going to click on there. Declaration of intent. Your intent is to have a seller's permit in your name, and you're going to accept those intentions. And then we begin the process here of actually we're going to do a permit here, and this is my email address in case anybody would need to get a hold of me, or if it's for Wes, it'd be wes.reger, R-E-G-E-R, and
actually it's Wesley, but
oh, is it Wesley on your?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm sorry. He went formal on us. So it's Wesley, W-E-S-L-E-Y, Wesley Reger, R-E-G-E-R, and mine's just plain old Jim. And this is our website, our email address. And then this is user must have a ID, so it can be 4 to 20 character length, contain at least one letter, no spaces, contain no special things. So it can be anything you want it to be, just something hopefully that you'll remember. So all right, so then it'd be a password. Again, password contains at least one letter and one number. Your password should be different than your ID, and so now I'm going to punch in a password. Okay, then it comes down here and asks, you may enter the question to choose, what's your pet, where were you born? I happen to be born in Chicago, so that's going to be my identification thing. Okay, business entity type you are registering for. Okay, this is important. Most all of us, you're going to have, it'll be an individual business. If you're a corporation, individual business, could be a partnership. Most of us, it could be a married co-ownership. And so there, you can you choose the one that fits your business. Most of us is going to be individual. What is your role in this application? And most of you are going to be the owner. Now, if you're you're an accountant, it might be paid preparer, but most of us are going to be owners. Are you going to register for multiple business locations? And that is if you have other locations that you have a storefront or whatever. And again, most of us are going to say no. And is a temporary seller's permit? Are you applying for a temporary seller's permit? In other words, this is one that operates 90 days or less. Okay, and again, most of us are going to say no. And then we head on to the next page.
The reason it asks about multiple locations is every location you sell at needs to be listed on the permit. That's how the local tax is allocated. It needs to be all the sales that happen in Reading, the tax needs to go to Reading, but if you make sales in Mount Shasta, that tax needs to go there. So every location where sales happen need to be listed. Make no mistake, your mailing address can be completely different than your selling locations, and all of that will be gone over, but just make sure that the selling location is correct.
And it's also important because of special taxes. Mount Shasta has a different tax rate than Reading does.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's very important to know your locations and check online to make sure what if there are any special taxes. That's very important. So here is the information that I listed, and check it over, make sure it's what you want, and then you hit next. Oh, let's see, I had an error here. The ID entered already in use. Okay, so this is, I must have a twin. Okay, so it's in use already, so let's pick another one and see if they'll take that one. All right, so let's go on down here, and okay, so here's it. So now we've got the basic information. Now we continue, and I'm just going to end here, but you can see that you put in the name, your full name, driver's license information, contact information, home address, banking information. This is why it's so important to have that information handy. So if you have all that, it makes it quick. So so anyhow, this is the basic. And you'll continue on for several more screens, sales activities, business information, and then you're done. So there's only 2 more steps, and you'll have that. So so anyhow, that is our getting your permit, and it is it's a lot easier. And if you have any questions, you'll be able to call our 800 number, and that is a very easy process. Wes, anything else on the permits that we ought to look at?
I don't think so. I think that covers the permits.
Okay, so again, if you have questions about the seller's permit, write that down and give that to Joy, and we'll be glad to answer that.
So, Jen, why don't I ask you, I have one come in. What if I
Okay.
still don't have a specific location, but would like to get my seller's permit first?
I don't think you can have a permit without a location.
Well, you can use your home address. That would be your location, and so that would, you know,
And then you could add, I suppose, yeah, you could use that as your base, but without some kind of address to put down to start with. And then you can just add your, or change the selling location once you have it.
mhm.
Okay, good,
Yeah,
good.
so
One more question.
every application needs an address to hang on to. So it might not be a store. It could be your home address or whatever. But that would be the address that they would hang on the permit to.
Okay, is there a fee for seller's permit and does it need to be renewed annually?
Good question, Wes.
No, there's no fee for a regular seller's permit. If you're going to sell like cigarettes, there is a fee for a cigarette license. But no, there's no fee associated with selling typical things. And there is no renewal. It's permanent unless you do a temporary one. So it's open until you call us and tell us it's closed.
Is there a place online where you can verify if the product you're selling is taxable?
On our website, there are publications that go into great detail on all kinds of different things. I mean, it could almost be easier just to call us and ask, but it's up to you whether or not you want to just check it out online, see if you can figure it out from there, or just give us a call and say, this is what I'm selling and what do I need to do?
Okay, and I have one last one. Well, I'll answer. What's the difference between a business license and a seller's permit? So I'll just clarify that a business license you would get through the city or the county to operate your business. And then a seller's permit is when you're selling items that are taxable.
Right.
Okay.
And then with that seller's permit, you're responsible for collecting the sales tax, whatever it is for that area, and then returning that to the state, again, either on a monthly or quarterly or yearly basis, or fiscal year, depending on, again, that's how you're assigned to remit that. And so yeah, the seller's permit, it gives you an opportunity then to be legal, and everyone needs to legally have a seller's permit in order to sell in the state of California.
One last question that came in. Will the permit travel with you if you go to a trade show?
That would be the, you need to add a location option. You need to, every location has to be listed on the permit, because the sales at the location of the trade show, that tax needs to go to the local community there. So yes, it's not a new account number, it's just adding the location.
So you keep the same permit, but you have to add the location. And it's really important because say someone comes here, goes to Mount Shasta and goes to a fair there and sells their wares. Well, if they don't have Mount Shasta listed as a location for where they're selling the product, and say they go home to Sacramento and they file there, and if it's just the Sacramento location that they've listed on their permit, then Sacramento is going to get the sales tax from the sales in Mount Shasta. And our whole reasoning then is that we want Mount Shasta, where the sales were happening, we want Mount Shasta to get the sales money that they deserve. But if you don't have that location listed on your permit, then, like I say, some other city like Sacramento or wherever the people are coming from, are going to be getting the money. So that's why the location is really an important thing for each of you to look, list on your permit.
Okay, you guys, carry on. No more questions on that section.
Okay.
Thank you
Hey,
so much.
great. Hey, thank you, Joy, and thank you, everyone. And again, if there's any other questions that come up, don't hesitate to, let Joy know. Okay. So now I want to kind of move into, you have a seller's permit, you're in business, and you want to verify maybe a seller's permit number or on a resale certificate, and someone comes in and says, hey, I'd like to buy this, but I'm not going to pay tax on it because I'm going to resell it. And so it's called a resale certificate. Well, it's very important, and this is, unless if you trust them, fine. But if you're questioning, you can go right onto our website, and right on the website it has a verification of the seller's permit. And in order to get a resale certificate, they have to list their seller's permit number. And so right here in this area, you actually list the number, and there's letters ahead of it, but you omit the letters and just put in the number. Now, what does a resale certificate look like? Good question. And no, it's not what I wanted to say there. Sorry about that. I wanted to punch in 230. So right up here in this bar, you'll see you can look for pubs, and right now we're going to go to the 230 publication, which is the publication for that is a resale certificate. And here it comes right here. So you click on that, and now here is the California resale certificate. So you would, here's the permit number, and that goes in here, and then the kind of business, vendor's name, description of the property of the purchase for resale, what are you buying to resell, and then you sign this. Now, this is, you give once to whoever you're dealing with as a wholesaler. You don't have to have this every time you go in. This certificate should be on file with, if you receive, keep it if you're giving it to someone else, or if you're going to buy something for resale, then you need to give this to whomever you're buying from. So it's really important. So resale certificate, and again, if you have any questions, you can always ask. But these are some of the things that are important to have and are listed on that resale certificate form. And you also make sure you date the document, otherwise the resale certificate will not be considered valid. So it's very important that it's dated. It's just something the auditors look for. And it's very important for when you get your audit to have these resale certificates. Otherwise, they'll go, well, who did you sell that to? And where, how come you didn't collect sales tax on that? Oh, well, they were going to resale it. Well, who is that? And we need verification of that. So it's very important. Now, there's also the misuse of the resale certificate. Wes, do you have any thoughts on the misuse of it and what people need to watch out for?
Well, as long as you are accepting a resale certificate from somebody in good faith and you verify the permit's active and everything, it relieves you of liability of having to pay sales tax on that sale. So you'd be good. But if you're issuing a resale certificate and it's fraudulent, there's obviously some penalties, and it's just a bad idea to do. Just make sure if you're using a resale certificate, you're buying something that you're going to resale and collect tax on. Mm-hmm. If you're not, you need to not use that permit or that certificate.
And the reason for this is, and as Wes said, the onus is on the person purchasing it. You in good faith are saying, I believe you when you say you're going to resale this. But there's a lot of folks who try to use the resale certificates in a manner with which, to get out of their taxes. They try to purchase things and then either for their own personal use or actually for the business, and it's very inappropriate. And as you can see from this slide, there's a penalty, heavy penalty, and if you're guilty of a misdemeanor under Revenue and Taxation Code, and there's hefty fines. So it's very important that you be very careful with that and not misuse it. And it's like anything else. It's a good thing to have, and we want you to use it, but not misuse it. So resale certificates are very important. And again, going to that form BOE 230, that's your resale certificate, and you can get those right online and do that. So that's available. And again, you can punch that in on the website, and you're all set. I gave you a little example here, but I'm not going to take time. But it's just that, furniture place that misused their certificate. Okay, quickly, we want to go online and talk about online filing. So you've got your seller's permit, you're out there selling, and you're having a great time, and you're making some money, and so now you need to file that. So I'm going to have Wes help us through this process of filing, and he'll be online. Here you go right onto the website, and you're going to punch in the number, the ID number, and oh
shoot.
Okay, we got we're doing Login Express here. And this is a fictitious
it's
person.
A test.
It's a
account.
test thing. Yeah. So we're just we're not giving away anybody's secrets here, and so this is
That's funny. It's supposed to last longer than an hour.
Okay. Oh, maybe it's not going to like us. But this is when you register, you're going to.
There we go.
Oh, good.
All right. So you would log in. It goes right here to Account Functions, File Your Return. If you're on prepayments, if you'd like to just make a payment, so you filed your return but you didn't pay in full and now you'd like to. Relief requests, if there was a penalty that you believe shouldn't have been there and you'd like to request relief of that penalty, you can click there. If you'd like a payment plan, also right there. But typically your first option is the one you're going to use the most, file your return. It's going to show you your third quarter is the only return that is due. If you enter anything in, it's going to save whatever you've entered in. So if you walk away, get busy with customers, no problem. You come back, you continue where you left off. You just click on that. This is what a generic form would look like. Again, based on the type of business you're in, you'll have maybe some differences, multiple locations, but you just put in your gross sales, anything subject to use tax, which would be you bought it with the intention of reselling it, but you ended up using it, your bicycle shop, you gave one of the bikes to your grandson, that would then become subject to use tax. Any deductions or exemptions, you can click on this just to see what the options are. I guess you need to put something down. So sales to other retailers for the purpose of resale. So if all of my sales were for resale, I would put that there. Non-taxable food products, labor, your mechanic shop, the part is taxable, the repair is not labor part, so you would list that there, etc. I don't have enough time to really go through everything, but there are deductions, exemptions for research and development equipment and different things are there. If there's a district tax, you're in Mount Shasta, there's a district tax, you would need to enter in any sales that were in that district tax. The nice thing about doing this online is the math is all figured out for you. So you just plug in the numbers, hit continue, and it's filled in. So makes it very easy. But
and the great thing too is you can call in. You can call in our office. You could, if you're in the middle of this and you're having a problem, you can call in, and one of our people will help you online. And so they'll be glad to help you walk through this.
Everything's rounded to the nearest whole dollar, so you can see $1 in gross sales is only going to be 7.5 cents, so it's just rounded down to 0. But again, then you get to review it, hit continue, and I mean it's a you put in your name so that when you're wondering who did this 2 years from now, and you'll remember, oh, that's right, I did it, and your contact information, so if there's a problem, we know who to call. Hit continue, then you fill in your payment information. You need either a credit card or your checking account, but it would be right there as well.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Wes. And again, because of the time, if you have questions, go ahead and ask for that.
One other thing, something that comes up a lot is, especially in new business, you get your permit, but you don't have any sales for that first quarter because, I don't know, something didn't quite work out or whatever. Your first event is going to be in another month. We do not assume that you had no sales if you don't fill out your form. So even if you have 0 sales, you have to fill in 0 for your sales. Otherwise, we just assume you're avoiding us, which isn't what you're trying to do. It's just, okay, you had no sales, fill out the form, 0 sales, you owe nothing.
Good, and that's a good point, because there are a lot of folks who, again, just as Wes said, think, well, I haven't done any business yet, and all of a sudden we're calling saying, hey, you haven't filed. Oh, and then so it's really important to go ahead and do that filing, and again, you'll either be on a monthly or could be a quarterly. Most of us probably are going to be on quarterly or yearly, unless if you're have high volume of sales, then you'd be on a monthly. But that again will be determined by what you anticipate your sales to be when you fill out your seller's permit information. Here's the things about what do I need to get started on the filing, and of course you go out right on your website. So that is all of our information, and Wes and I are glad to answer questions, and you can get to us right here at the BOE office, and we'll be glad to answer any questions. Joy?
Yeah, well, thank you. It's so nice to have your friendly voices guide us through this, and to know that we do have some friends down there in Reading to support us as small business owners who are selling our wares. I do have a couple questions coming in. The first one is, if you already have a seller's permit and you unexpectedly do a trade show in a different city, is it easy to add a location?
Absolutely, it's very easy. Just log into your account and click on add a location.
Okay, and what if you do a trade show out of state is the next question.
Sales out of state are not subject to California sales tax, so you don't need to worry about that. That's not going to be an issue.
Okay, and so check with the area, the state that you're going to for temporary?
Yeah, that they might have different requirements. Each state is going to be slightly different. So yeah, you'd want to, I would imagine whoever's organizing the fair or show or whatever is going to know what you need to do. So I would talk to that person and get guidance from them.
Next question, what do you need to know if selling online?
We actually have a publication that's specific to online sales. It's very useful. If you go to our website and just read that publication, It'll give you all the information. If you have something specific about it, I'd be happy to answer the question.
Okay. I have another question. If you need to file quarterly, when does that time fall?
Quarterly, so every 3 months, obviously. So January, February, March, you would file in April for the January, February, and March sales. And then April, May, June, you file the following month. In July, report your sales and pay the tax.
So it's a quarterly, every 3 months, and then it's due at the end of the next month.
Great. Great, great, great. Well, the website looks pretty user-friendly as well. I appreciate you taking us there and giving us a beginning of a guided tour. So it sounds like there's a lot of good online information publications. The process can be done pretty quickly right in front of a computer. You have your office, and you did give us your emails, and you are accessible for specific questions.
Yes.
And then one question just came in. Do you choose your filing time, or is it standard?
It's based on your sales volume. So it's not something you get to pick. It's something that it's the higher the volume, the more tax that's going to be collected, the faster the state's going to need its money.
Okay.
And it will, and it also is good because if you have a high volume, sometimes that'll add up, and if you do it either quarterly or yearly, and all of a sudden at the end of the year you've had this big volume of sales, and you go, oh, what happened to that sales because tax money? And so people sometimes get caught off guard. So we encourage people to make sure, even when they're doing their sales, that in their bank account or whatever, keep a separate little sidebar for your sales tax money, so that you don't lose it in the process of paying all the other bills. So it's very, very important.
Well, on that note, I would like to say that that is one of the services we'd be happy to help people with at JEDI. And we do have counselors that can support people in their bookkeeping, their record keeping, and one of the things we always make sure people do is save their tax money, so that when tax time comes, if it's seller's tax or if it is your income tax, that you have that money in your account. So you can definitely work with JEDI to cover yourself in that way. Okay. Well, I appreciate both of you. Wes, Jim, thank you so much. This was a wonderful webinar. We did record it, so it's evergreen, and people can refer to it to get comfortable with, some of these things. They seem daunting when we're first starting our businesses and we don't have a clue how we're going to figure it out, and you just made it so much easier for all of us. I always tell people in the business classes that, entrepreneurs never know what they're doing exactly. That's the spirit of entrepreneurship. We have to learn by doing, and you've made it a little easier for all of us to learn how to charge tax, when to charge it, how to file, and so we really appreciate you both.
Hey, well, thank you, Joy. Thank you for everyone out there, and again, from the State Board of Equalization, we want to thank you for the work you do, because it makes our economy go. And any questions, don't hesitate to call, don't hesitate to email us, and we would be glad to help in any way we can.
Perfect. Well, I have a couple exciting announcements. And I also just want to appreciate everyone for supporting JEDI. It's people like you. Many of you are members of JEDI, and that keeps these programs running. So what's coming? On the MAP workshop. So we are partnering with Google to help put every business in our cities, in your city, on the map. So that includes yours. So this is a free workshop Thursday, November 12th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. and you get to learn more about getting your listing front and center with a location online. We have the next Level Up Marketing Seminar with Diane Strachan and Joanne Steele. That will be Tuesdays, November 3rd and 10th from 6 to 8:30 at the JEDI Lab in Mount Shasta. And then our next webinar, I'm looking forward to this. We will be talking about the various forms of business ownership and what's the best choice for you, some of the pluses and the minuses and the logistics of being a sole proprietorship versus a corporation, a nonprofit, etc. And that's Lynn Teuscher and myself. That is Wednesday, November 18th at noon, and it will be free and it will be online. And then save the date. We're having another wonderful holiday open house Thursday, December 10th at JEDI. So, great. I just got an update. This upcoming Level Up Your Marketing Seminar location to be announced. I think we have a lot of people coming, so we might be changing that, and it is not free. Okay, so apologize on that. If you can change to the next slide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And thanks again, everyone, for joining us, for being a part of JEDI, for making a difference. When you close out of the webinar, there will be a short evaluation, a survey, and we appreciate you filling it out. It gives us more information on how we can better serve you. So a lot of the questions really just have to do with what's next in your business, what do you need to know, and how might we help you through a webinar or elsewhere. We thank you again. And have a wonderful, beautiful, prosperous day. Goodbye, everyone.